Someone had to say it.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Someone Had to Say It. Unfortunately, my co host, Julia Bendis, could not be here today because she is busy doing matchmaking, jewelry making, and something that involves screwdrivers and wooden pallets and manly stuff in her garage. But what's that?
I said, sounds fun.
It's I don't know. I can't do screwdrivers. It sounds impressive. I'll say that. But anyway, we are here with the fabulous, insanely talented, best-selling author Meredith Schorr, who is a born and bred New Yorker, and I think you're the author of, is it 12 novels?
No, it's it's the 3 that are current, and
So
then
Okay, why?
I have a couple in my backlist from years ago that I published with a small press,
Oh, that must have been what I was seeing.
but not 12.
But not
I
okay.
think
So
it's
let's just
about
say, is it
10.
3 then?
I usually just promote the 3 current ones, but there's 10 in total.
Okay, got it. So let's just say I'll start over. But I am here with the fabulous author and who is insanely talented, Meredith Schorr, author of 3 steamy and hilarious rom-coms. Welcome, Meredith.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
So your latest book came out this week. It's called Roommating. I have it right over there. It is one of my favorites. I have loved all of your books, but this one is definitely a favorite of mine, and I just love the couple. Do you want to just tell our viewers a little bit about what it's about?
Sure. Roommating is about a 24-year-old grad student and library page, Sabrina, who lives with a septuagenarian roommate through a roommate app that connects like older adults who have room to spare with younger adults who can't really afford to live in New York City, unless they're sharing it with like 12 other people.
Right.
So you get reduced rent in exchange for like a little bit of help around the house, walking the dog, helping out with the techie stuff, and everything is great until Marcia, the older woman, her estranged grandson, she invites him to move into their apartment temporarily to find himself because he's having a little bit of trouble. He's like Ivy League educated. He's very, smart and intelligent, but he doesn't really have any direction and he keeps quitting jobs. And so his father is like, I'm not paying for your vacation from life. So he calls up his grandma, who he hasn't really been in touch with over the last 10 years for other reasons that I don't want to spoil.
Right.
And she invites him up to stay over with Sabrina's, permission, because it's a big change. And she accidentally catches feelings for her roommate's grandson. He accidentally catches feelings for his grandma's roommate. And there's a lot of tension, it's just a lot of fun.
It is so much fun. Can we talk first of all about sex scenes? Let's just go straight there.
Wow. Okay.
Let's just go straight there. Has your mother read this?
Yes. My mother is the furthest thing from a prude.
Okay. That's different than mine. Yeah.
Yeah. No. She's fine with them. She kind of gets bored with sex scenes though. So when she reads books, she tends to like skip those pages, not because she's like offended, but because like been there, done that. So
that's hilarious. That's hilarious. I used to think when I would read romance, like I started off reading Jane Austen back in high school. And then I was of the opinion that once you do a sex scene, it's over. It's no longer exciting. You've lost the magic. But it ended up being then I started reading. Do you know Susan Elizabeth Phillips?
Of course. Legend.
Yeah. What's that?
Legend.
Totally. I showed up at her house one time, sort of accidentally.
How does that happen?
Well, so she lives in I believe it's what is it called? Naperville. Yeah, it's a suburb of Chicago. And my husband went to high school there. And it just so happens like we were visiting, and I'm just like, hey, let's just, as long as we're here, I think, the author who, she was like one of my favorites, like you said, a legend. I said, hey, let's just pop in and I can hand her my self-published book because I mentioned her in it, and I think she'd
Oh,
get a
wow.
kick out of that. Um, so he looked up her address. We just did slight stalking. It wasn't a lot. It was just slight stalking. And then and I didn't even think she'd be home because she does like these world tours. I thought, I don't know, I'll just hand it to her butler. Um as it turned out, she was home, and I really freaked her out because I was so freaked out. I'm like, oh my gosh. And then, like, I could see she started inching the door closed.
Oh
And
my
I'm like,
God.
I'm not. Yeah, I mean, who does that? But anyway, I'm just like, here's my book, and you've inspired me to be a writer. And anyway. So anyway, so basically, my point is that I actually think sex scenes can add and enhance the relationship. What do you think about that?
I do too. I don't think that, I feel like sex scenes should be used to move the plot forward. And also if they communicate, I feel like sex scenes are different based on the stage that the couple is in.
Yes.
Like Adam and Sabrina, for instance. When they first have sex, they don't really have feelings for each other. It's just a lot of tension and waiting and build up. But in like my work in progress, there's a sex scene. It's the first time a woman's having sex since her husband died. So it's
Yes.
more like emotional and vulnerable. Or,
Totally.
or if a couple has like broken up and gotten back together the first time they sleep together, it's extremely intimate. I mean, so I really feel like you have to keep in mind where you can't just mix and match. Like I was writing roommating, and I tried to, like, there was a book that never went anywhere, and writing sex scenes is hard. So I thought about like just plugging in the one for the book that didn't get published into this one. But it
Oh,
was
totally.
yeah, but it's different characters, and it just
Ah,
doesn't work that way. You have to like really,
yeah.
I think you should be really aware of the players in the situation.
Yes. And sometimes when you write bantering, I don't know, I'm speaking about this from my own perspective, but I sometimes feel like it's almost too similar. Like I get their personalities a little bit too close. Do you know what I'm
I mean,
saying?
between different books, or between like
No,
the male
just
and the
within
female
the
character?
same book. I feel like, no, that's something she would say, but
Oh
not
yeah.
something he would say, like with the bantering. Do you ever, like, when you're writing, do you ever say, no, that's actually not
Yeah.
something this character would do?
Yes. I mean, I feel like in a first draft, you might not realize it. And then
Right.
you get to know that. I mean, I could do all the plotting in the world,
Yeah.
but as I'm and outlining, but as I'm writing the book, the characters, their personalities change, and I learn about them. And I feel like when you go back, you can better see, like, is this something my
Yes.
character would say? Probably
Yes.
not. Yeah. So I absolutely
Exactly.
agree that like it's the voice of the character and the way that the expressions they use, things like that, are very, very individual to the character.
Yeah. And it's interesting because at the same time, like my mother will say, I notice when, you guys, when you got married, like us kids, that we started adapting certain expressions or phrases that, let's say, our spouses started using. So, in a sense, I suppose it does make sense. But going back
Yeah.
to, you said plotting, were you always a plotter or were you a pantser? And can you kind of explain what that is to people?
Okay, well, a plotter is somebody who outlines, like a full on plotter. You outline the whole entire book, scene by scene, so you know exactly the path that the book is going to take. And a pantser is somebody who's like just writes by the seat of their pants. And so they write one chapter and just kind of see what comes out on the page. I am somewhere in between. I mean, it also depends on the book and where I am in a contract. Roommating was sold on outline alone. It was the first
Oh,
book that I ever like wrote an entire outline on without writing a single page. I had no,
oh my gosh.
but I didn't choose that. We had sent another proposal to, this was for the option, like for my third book.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
I had sent like 100 or something pages of another book and a full outline. And my
Okay.
editor didn't fall in love with it. She's like, I want to work with you again, but can we do something better? So
Okay.
she had me like send like a list of pitches So
Oh,
me and my agent worked together, and there may be like 5 different like queries of different
okay.
ideas. And Leah liked roommating the best. So she says, can you develop it more? So then Leah's my editor. Then I like wrote a full on outline of roommating. And that's how we sold the book. And then I wrote the whole book based on the outline. And then my editor gets it and is like, can we rework the premise? Like, so she saw the outline, but then in
Yeah.
execution, it didn't work right. So I ended up having to change so much of the book
Yeah.
with my developmental edits.
Yes. Was it like that with your other 2 books, or was this different?
This was different. I feel like with A Scene on TV, there were edits, but they weren't very minor. I mean, they were very minor. Like there was
Okay.
just some development, some pacing issues. That's it.
Yeah.
Someone Just Like You was bigger. And I think for A Scene on TV, it's because I wasn't in contract yet when I was writing it. So I had
Oh.
all the time in the world to do it.
Yeah. Right.
The second one, I also had to write it on an outline. Well, actually, you got paid. You get paid in like, you get paid when you sign the contract. You get paid for this book, I got paid in 4. I got paid when I signed the contract, when I sent the outline, when I turned in the book, and like the edits were accepted, and then on pub day. That was for Someone Just Like You. So I had to write an outline, and they accepted the outline. But then when I wrote the book, again, like things don't always work right. So it was a heavier revision than A Scene on TV, but still lighter than my revision of roommating. So it almost feels like I'm getting worse with each book, because
Well,
each book my revision
I was
is
about to
bigger.
say, I've heard people like Susan Elizabeth Phillips, going back to her, and somebody else like Brian Friedman, he's one of my favorite psychological thriller authors.
I've read him.
Yeah.
I forget the book, but there was one book I got on like Amazon First Reads, and it was
Okay.
really good.
Ooh,
just don't remember.
okay. He's amazing, and he just turns out books like, I don't know, it feels like he's written almost 40 or something, but he
Wow.
says every single book is basically a huge pain in the ass. It never gets easier.
Does it?
And I know Susan Elizabeth Phillips said the same thing. She's even said like every sentence is it's
I know.
painful.
And I feel like, yeah, people think, oh, I'd write if I had time.
Yeah.
Like it's not that simple. Just because you have time to write doesn't mean that you're going to like be up for the actual task of writing and publishing a book, because there's so much. You have to be able to take so much feedback,
Yeah.
and you have to be able to run with it and not like be so married to like that
Mhm.
first draft, or like even I have another book that I sent it to my agent. I thought she was going to love it. And we had coffee. She had a lot of issues with it. She loved the idea.
Yeah.
And so like, I loved the version that I gave her,
Mhm.
but if I want to pursue this and work with her and get another traditional publishing deal,
Yeah.
like I have to be able to like pivot. I think being
Okay.
able to pivot is such an important part of being a published author.
I think so too. The flexibility is huge. Yeah, I mean, in life in general,
Yeah,
being
yes.
flexible, I think, is such an important quality to have in general. So, have you ever self-published, or did you not go down that route?
No, actually, I had published a couple of books with a small press, like more than a decade ago.
Okay.
Yeah, and almost a decade ago, maybe. And I wrote a novella, prequel to one of the books. It was YA.
Oh,
So
cool.
I self-published that one, but I took it down. I think it's my mom's favorite of all my books. It
Oh,
was
that's so
It's like
interesting.
200 pages, and it was characters from this book that I wrote, Blogger Girl. And
Okay.
I took the characters from Blogger Girl and I put them in like high school, like freshman
wow.
year of high school. And it was really, I mean, it was a joy to write. And
Yeah.
but it was only 200 pages. You can't really sub that to like publishers.
Yeah,
unless you're established.
right. I was about
Yeah.
to say, unless you're established.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And I wasn't. I'm not even, I
Yeah.
don't even think I am now, but I certainly
You
wasn't
are
then.
now. I was just thinking earlier today how scary it is sometimes to think about authors who've done maybe 1 or 2, and then they turn to like self-publishing. So that's interesting. I don't know.
I mean, a lot of the books that are getting published traditionally are now like originally indie published.
Yes.
And I know many indie authors sell way more than I do. It's not about
Right.
that. I think it is so
Yeah.
hard. I just could
Yes.
not do it. I don't have the marketing brain. I don't want to be on like TikTok all the
Yeah.
time. Like, and I feel like that's a big part of it. You really have to put yourself out there because, I mean, we have to as well, but
Yeah.
not to the same extent because ours is like supplemented by whatever our publisher is going to do, by our
Yes.
distribution, by like their marketing. If you're the
Right.
only one, you really have to lean into like the social media stuff. And I don't think I'd be good at it. I have a full-time job and I'm writing. I just don't have the time for it, but I respect the heck out of the people who do it and do it well. I
Well,
really,
M.A. Wardell.
yeah,
Yeah. So I was just talking to him the other night, and he actually, I've never heard of this before, but he was doing so well on his self publishing journey that he was actually approached by an agent who said, I absolutely love your writing. I would love to represent you. Are you interested? And, I know so many people who have been querying for even over 20 years.
yeah. It's
So,
happening a lot more now.
yeah, so that's interesting. So I think that gives people a lot of hope. Now, did you
Yeah.
ever join any writing critique groups or take any classes?
Yes. I took a course at, it's called Gotham Writers Workshop. And
Okay.
it's based in Manhattan, but they had online classes, but I always liked live. I think most of them are online now. This is a long time ago. And that's how
Oh,
I wrote like the first book I ever wrote.
yeah.
I like what it is like you have like a table and everybody turns in like 20 or so pages to everybody else in the class. And
Okay.
then the author has to like say nothing. While the rest of
Right.
the class has to say 3 good things
Yeah.
and 3 critiques about the book.
Yeah.
And it was so it's not like a writing class. They didn't teach you how to write. You learned by critique. And I
Yes.
remember like I had been writing a dating blog. I was so used to like creative nonfiction where I'm just nothing isn't seen, nothing is dialogue. It's just me like kind of writing essays.
Okay.
And when I started writing my first book, a lot of it was written that way. The person was just kind of having a monologue. And
Yeah.
within that first class, almost all the comments were like, we really love your voice and your writing, but you're telling us everything. We want to see it and seen.
Right.
Instead of saying, and I went to the club and we were dancing and then he came over to me. No, show them in the club, show them approach, talking to you. And like, I don't know, I've been reading books for like 30 years already.
Yeah.
I don't know why I was so used to writing blogs that like when I was writing, it felt very natural to just kind of like tell everything. And
Right.
so, yeah, so I went home and I wrote that same scene in more of a book form. And I
Okay.
turned it in the next time it was my turn, and they
Yeah.
all loved it. I think I was the only.
Aw.
Normally, you're supposed to do your first 20 pages and then your 20 to 40 pages. I just
Right.
did my first ones twice, and I think that
Yeah.
was probably the biggest and the first lesson of writing a novel that I ever got, and it paid. That class, just that one, whatever I paid to take that course, I
Yeah.
got my money's worth in that first class.
You know what? I didn't pay for this, but it was the same exact thing when I joined a critique group where people were supposed to the authors stay silent, you submit 12 pages and then you have to stay quiet
Yeah.
while people we were not as good about the positive aspects.
Oh.
My group was especially good at saying what you did wrong, and I was not prepared for that. And so I left. Like, they were complimentary, but then at the same time, I wasn't prepared for any sort of critiques.
Oh, okay.
You're in New York, aren't
Yeah.
you? I hear the sirens.
Oh, actually, I'm in White Plains, but close enough. There
Oh,
are
close
does
enough.
yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
Sorry, you
But
shouldn't
no,
hear anything.
I feel like I learned the most from critique groups, from being able to handle critiques to the point where I craved it. So like when I got like positive feedback, I'm like, yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like, that's unnecessary. Just tell me what didn't work. So I
Yes.
did like this complete 180. Do you read reviews that are, let's say, less than 5 stars?
I don't read my reviews at all unless I'm tagged in them, and most of those are positive. And but of course, people still tag in bad reviews, or
That's
they'll get or
awful.
like one person,
Ooh.
tagged me in a review on Pub Day for roommating. This was such a fun read. I thought the battle was absolutely ridiculous, but at least it was better than miscommunication or misunderstandings, and I was like, I didn't actually know, like, I wasn't upset because like another person wrote in their review that had tagged me that she wished the competition part went on longer. So I know it's just subjective, but it's like ridiculous here. Wish it was longer because I loved it here. So those don't bother me, but it was like, am I supposed to like say thank you? Like, am I supposed to engage with this? I'm not really sure, but
It's
no,
like, shut up, bitches.
I don't, I have a thick skin when it comes to like my editor or my agent or my critique partner. But once the book is out there, I have so much hope, and I don't want that hope to die by going and looking at reviews. So I try not to.
What about the NetGalley process where you still have time to change that?
No, because I feel like by the time my book is on NetGalley, maybe I'm in like past pages or possibly copy edits.
Right.
And I don't think it's until copy edit. I think my publisher waits till copy edits are done. So it still hasn't gone through proofs, but and by then it is too late. The only thing I could really change is sentence level stuff.
It's really interesting because that's what they told me when my book was on NetGalley. And just for people who don't know, NetGalley is sort of a platform for early readers and influencers to review your book, basically to give publishers an idea of, I guess, how successful it might be or something like that. And I read every single one and I'm like, okay, I need to change this. I need to change this. And my agents and publisher were like, no, really, you can't. And I'm like, yes, I can. And so then they're like, well, it has to be the same amount of words if you try to.
Yes, because it's already set.
Right.
So you can't, like, if the setting on the page, that's what they would tell me. If you're going to change things, it can't move, how many pages it needs to be. And and that's tricky.
I'm saying I had the best time. That was so much fun for me. It was like a game. Like I was, drinking vodka at 1 a.m. and going, oh, I can only use 4 words here. How can I? Anyway, I'm just.
But your book was amazing. I absolutely loved it. Cannot wait for the second one. But
I have a pre-order link, Meredith. I just got it yesterday, and a title because yes.
Okay, good. Share it and we will.
Okay, well, it's called Match Me If You Can. And the hilarious part is that this is in the same exact title of Susan Elizabeth Phillips' book, which is also about a matchmaker. I didn't tell them that because I figured if she were to sue, it would be them, not me. So
I'm a trademark professional and you cannot trademark a book title. You can only trademark it's a series of books, like Sweet Valley High is a series of books. So that can be trademarked and copyrighted, but like every all the separate titles in that series cannot be. Nobody has the exclusive rights.
That makes sense.
I'm not going to go call a book The Love Hypothesis. Like, I'm going to take, but Susan Phillips, her book was like a decade ago, right?
Right, if not more.
Yeah.
But I might just show up at her house again if she hasn't moved and be
she's gonna call the cops on you.
Right? I literally thought she was gonna call the cops, like the door was inching closed. And then I started to say, don't worry, I'm safe. And it's, or I think I said, I'm not dangerous. And then all she heard kind of, when you're freaking out is the word dangerous.
Oh no.
It was so embarrassing. But I don't know. I'm like, I don't look dangerous, do I? But yeah, I thought she was going to call the police. But anyway, I have more questions for you about Adam and Sabrina. If you were to turn this into a movie, which I really hope it becomes a huge Hollywood blockbuster hit, who do you think would play these 2 characters?
Well, I picture certain characters when I do it. And I pictured Kiernan Shipka.
Okay, I have no idea who that is.
Okay, she was in Mad Men. She played the daughter. So she was really little then. And now she's been in the thrilling somethings of Sabrina. Like she's Sabrina the Teenage Witch, but not the original version, like a spookier thriller version.
That's so cool.
And she's the same age. Her real name is Sabrina, so it seems like it's perfect.
Wow, meant to be.
Yeah. And I I have an actor who looks like I describe Adam. His
Okay.
name is Dylan Spraysbury.
Okay.
But I always picture Jess from Gilmore Girls, even though I don't describe him that way. In my
I've
head,
never watched Gilmore Girls. I'm so sorry.
well, no, it's okay because in the first version of the book, the one that got completely changed, he was
Okay.
grumpy. He was grumpy. Like an
Oh.
Adam was not grumpy at all. It didn't work. Like
No.
I don't think I wrote the grumpy well enough. And so like
Okay.
we changed his personality, but in my
Yeah.
head, I still see Jess, even though the actor is like in his 40s now, and so that wouldn't work anyway.
Hey, I think 40s guys are super sexy, but
Oh,
that's
me
probably
too.
only because I'm in my 40s now.
Yeah. Oh no, I
Yeah.
think it's hard for me to like be like, oh, what 23-year-old, 24-year-old guy
Yeah.
am I attracted to? And I'm like,
Yes. And for me, I have a son that's going to be 21 soon.
yeah,
And it's
so
like, that
awkward.
makes me feel like a pedophile. I can't do that. So, and then
Exactly.
some people like George Clooney will forever be sexy. I don't know
Yes.
why. But I
Yeah.
have to say, I feel like Brad Pitt has gone downhill.
See, I haven't seen him in a while. They're
Exactly.
posting all these AI pictures of him on social
Are they?
media, like super old and like very like he gained like 50 pounds,
Oh my gosh.
which is like they're not real.
Yeah. Oh, but like, what happened to him and Angelina? And I'm still upset at Angelina for coming between him and Jennifer. I know this was like 20 years ago, but I'm still mad about it. Like, it was personal.
Same.
And she did it with Billy Bob Thornton too, right?
Yeah.
Wasn't he? Yeah. So yeah, whatever. It's cool. So also, I was just interested in because I think a lot of people, I just want to preface this with, I know a lot of people in my personal life who always tell me that they have a book in them, whether it's nonfiction, like a memoir, or even fiction. But a lot of people are just really afraid at doing that first step. They don't even know sometimes how to make that first step. Like when it comes to, I didn't know, for example, what a query letter is.
Yeah,
so tell us about your journey as an author, how that came to be.
Well, I started writing the book, my first book, a long time ago, and I just assumed I'd write it, and then I didn't really think about what happened next. I was just writing the book. And then I had a friend who had been querying her book, and so I had to ask her what a query letter was, what an agent was. This is like right before like Twitter.
Okay.
We're all when all of the information was right there. I bought a big fat like writer's forget what it's called.
Oh yeah,
with all the agents in it.
Right, me too. Like something about what was the name of that?
It was Writer's something.
Digest? No.
Yes. No,
was it? Is that what it was?
I don't know. I have it somewhere. I think it's in my office at work.
I'm still upset. It was like $22.
Yeah, it was really expensive, but it was the only way because I don't think there were things like Query Tracker and like manuscript wish list. At least I didn't know about that stuff then.
Right.
So when I finished my book, I just started querying it. I took a course. There's this author, Susan Shapiro, and she had a course. She's a writing teacher and a published author of both fiction and nonfiction. Okay. And she has a course in her like beautiful like Greenwich Village house where like she invited you paid, but like 15 of us to go around and read our query letters. Ooh. And she critiqued them right there. Like I think we sent it to her first and then she gave it back and we talked about it. And she helped me a little bit. It didn't matter because my book, I don't even think I got like a single partial request or full request. Chicklet, I had written Chicklet, which was like dead unless you were Sophie Kinsella or like Emily
Helen Fielding, right?
Yeah, like if you were already established, you know, Lindsay Kelk was still doing well. But for a new author, it was, I mean, they were publishing very, very few. And so I got nowhere. The second time around when I did it for the book that I wrote before A Scene on TV, I started querying that in like 2019. It was much different. I got an agent within like 5 weeks. Yeah. And there was also so much more information available to me. I had friends who helped me. Like I wrote my query letter like 100 times, like ripped my hair out. I am much better at helping other people write query letters than I am writing my own.
That's so interesting. I wonder why that is.
I don't know. I'm also like a really good editor. I've helped like several authors get agents.
That's
develop
amazing.
their books to get agents. I've been on like several mentorships.
Oh,
The two
wow.
authors that I helped sell,
Oh, like
they both,
Ellie Palmer, another
yeah,
Minnesotan.
yeah, Ellie
Yeah.
Palmer and Heather McBreen. Her book
Okay.
Wedding Crashers came out in January, maybe it was February.
How
They,
awesome.
they were both Book of the Month add-ons.
Oh my
They both got
gosh.
like several offers of like representation. Their books
Yes.
sell better than mine. I'm so happy for them, but like, oh my God, I'm like way better at like helping other people than I
It's so
am,
interesting because I always wonder. I think they are two separate talents, though, because
Yeah.
not everybody can be both. I
Yeah.
think it's hard to. It is a separate talent, I would say, to look at a book and be like, okay, we need to add this here. We need to restructure here.
Yeah.
I think it's so interesting, though. I feel like I've had such a similar experience with this book that's hopefully coming out in September that you've had with Roommating, in that there's been so many different iterations of
Yeah.
it. I started off with it like enemies to lovers,
Mhm.
and then we
Yep.
went to like grumpy sunshine, the friends
Yes.
to lovers, to the point where I'm like, I don't know what the fuck this is anymore. But just like take it off my hands,
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
like Sabrina and Adam were initially enemies to lovers. Instead of like connecting right away and being like, oh crap, I have a crush on my roommate's grandson. It was more like she was physically attracted to him right away, but he was kind of
Yeah.
a jerk, and then she was
Right.
kind of defensive.
Yeah.
And that's where my editor came in and said, why are they so hostile? Like what is
Because
going
it's
on
hot.
here? Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know. Yeah.
And so we and I like it so much better now because now I get comments about how cozy it is and how like
Aw.
and it wasn't cozy in the first iteration.
Yeah, right.
So,
I see what you mean. I like love the book The Hating Game, and
yes.
so I don't know why. That I think it's
Oh,
a
it's
really
amazing.
hard. Right, but it must be, I'm saying it must be such a hard balance to write the enemies to lovers, because I
Yeah.
was getting the same feedback also from
Yeah.
my people. Like, no, why are they like, she's too mean.
Well,
Um
well, Sally Thorne did such a good job of like making it obvious to everybody except her
yeah.
that he really liked her.
Yes.
You
I
know?
knew it.
And yeah, and that he
Yes.
enjoyed her. And like and she like I don't know, that book, like 1 in a million,
I
honestly.
know.
You
It
know,
was so good.
yeah, I mean,
So good.
I've loved other enemies to lovers books, even like office based, workplace, but
Yeah.
nothing is like pushed that one off of the first place
It's like a
spot for me.
Bible for us readers and writers, I
Yeah.
think. Yeah. So it's a really hard balance to try to strike. That is for
Yes.
sure. So who were some of the authors that inspired you, either growing up or more recent, like on your journey?
Well, growing up there, the first one was Judy Blume, for sure.
Oh,
I
amazing.
dreamed of like writing like middle grade, upper middle grade, lower YA.
Yeah.
I wanted to like reach kids the way she reached me. But the thing was, I never actually wrote anything. So like there was like this dream in theory, but like you got to
Yeah.
write a book, and I never did. But
Yeah.
she was my first like wow. And then then there were people like Sophie Kinsella.
Yes.
They made me laugh so hard.
Yeah.
And then there was Kristen Higgins, who had that balance between like really romantic and really funny and like voicey.
Yeah.
And now I take a lot of inspiration from authors like Catherine Center,
Oh, yeah.
Ashley Poston, like
Don't know that one.
whimsical and funny. And then there's people that like came out like after me, like Lindsay Hamaroff, I think is brilliant.
Oh,
She's so
yes.
funny.
Yes. Yes.
Um,
Totally.
I
Yes.
just read, and I think you read it too, Dahlia Adler's upcoming book, Soon by You.
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
I have it right here. It's like the coolest thing ever, because it's like
Oh,
it doesn't
wow.
have the cover yet.
I was like, I didn't get it in print. I got it in
Well,
like.
you have to ask. I'm like, if you want me to blur, you need to
Oh,
send me a
okay.
cool copy.
Darn it! But I'm going to pre-order the original. It was fantastic.
I can't wait to read it. I'm so excited.
You're going to love it.
Yeah, definitely. I'm gonna read it this weekend, and that's that. but it's so hard to read on Kindle. It's really hard for me,
Yeah.
especially because I'm Orthodox, and so. But even when I'm not doing the Orthodox thing over the Sabbath,
Yeah.
it's still hard for me. I think because I'm on the screen a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, you're
No,
on the
it's true.
screen constantly, right?
Yes, I'm on the screen constantly because I have my day job, and my day
Right.
job is like sandwiched. Like the day job is the meat or
Yeah.
and like or the cheese or whatever, and like
Right.
the day job, the writing is the bread that
Yeah.
like or bookends, whatever you want to call them. Sandwich. That was kind of a weird analogy.
How do you have time to watch TV? Because it's a time thing.
Yeah.
Like you need time to sleep, but like I need time for TV.
Yes.
Otherwise, you know what I mean?
Sometimes I think I love TV and I make time for TV. It also like it's a lot of I joke in my bio that I watch TV for research. I won't
Yeah,
because
I
I
like
love
that.
it, but it
Yeah.
does give me I've gotten inspired by many times from television, be it characters or just situations, things like that. But I probably could write faster. I could probably get my agent like my books quicker and write more if I cut out TV. But my brain does not work in long periods of time. So I'll write for like an hour, maybe two if I can get out of bed early enough in the morning before work.
Wow.
And then after work, as soon as work is done, like 5:30, whatever it is, if
Yeah.
I'm in the office, it's 6:30. I will
Yeah.
write till about 8. 8 o'clock, my work day is done because that's when I eat dinner. I eat dinner late. I eat
Wow.
dinner in front of the TV and
Oh,
until about
that's
like
the
11.
best.
Yeah, until about 11 because also not only does my brain stop working correctly after
Yeah.
like 4, even on the weekends, if I'll maybe write for 3 or 4 hours at a time, and
Yeah.
suddenly like I could tell that I'm depleted. I just can't do it anymore. So I know authors who will write for like 8 to 10 hours in a pop, and I just
Wow.
can't do it.
Yeah, yeah.
You
I
know,
can't do it either. My brain shuts off. I'm like maybe 2 in the afternoon to 5, or no, maybe even 4 in the evening. That's it. That's
Yeah.
it. I have a very short time span where my brain is,
Yeah.
functioning. But have you ever had a dry spell where you're just like a writer's block, basically? And then how do you get out of that?
I've not had like long, like official writing block where I can't write for like, days or weeks or months at a time. But I have gotten like stuck like in like a scene or what's gonna happen next.
Yeah.
And so like sometimes you gotta walk away, I'll go for a run. Things come to me a lot when I'm running. But other times I move off of the document and I kind of like write like what ifs, and I'm doing this right now with my work in progress because I'm like rewriting a lot of it. And I'm like, I don't even know where to begin. So I kind of like give myself like a timeline. Okay, they get there, this happens and this happens and this happens. And then I do like, and either this can happen
Mm-hmm.
and then I try to go to see what that brings, or I could try this and see if that happens. And eventually I usually find the right path.
Yes. What is your work in progress now? I'm kind of curious. Are you allowed to talk about it, or
Well,
is it hush hush?
It's hush hush for me because it's not in contract yet.
Okay, got it.
It's not finished yet, and I don't want to talk about it too much. I don't want to jinx it. And I
Yeah,
also
don't
don't
jinx
want,
it.
it's also a really good idea, and I don't want anybody else to write it faster than me if they,
Do you worry about chat GBT? It's like every day. This is like constantly on my mind. It really bothers me.
Oh, it bothers me too that people are like, oh my God, I know somebody. I don't want to name him by name. He's not an author. He doesn't want to publish, but he wants to see if he could write a book just for him. And he told me that he's using it. Yeah. And I was like, you do realize that like you're basically stealing because all the training, all the prompts, all the answers to the prompts that you're getting are based on other books whose authors did not consent to that. And like I went hard. Like I kept like saying, okay, you do you, but like just so you know, like I'm not really cool with this.
I feel threatened on so many levels by it. And my mother, for some reason, thought it would be something like exciting for me. I think because she knows I struggle writing fast or something.
Yeah.
So she's like, good news, Heidi. There's this new program where it can just write everything for you.
Oh my God, no.
And I'm like, how is that good? I mean, you're basically saying I'm going to be replaced by a robot.
I know.
And then she goes, huh. But then she
And
goes, but a fast robot.
but what I also don't get is like, even if you're going to use it to like come up with like the next plot line, I don't know.
Okay.
I'm not really sure what people are using it for, but I
I
assume like
don't
it's,
know.
I want to write about a guy who lives up on a hill.
Yeah.
And then this woman shows up. Give me some reasons why the woman would show up, and then it like will like throw out some things. But
Yeah.
as the author, you
Yeah.
still have to take that and put it into like a document and make
Yeah.
it all make sense. And I'm like, by the time you do that, like you could just write your own book. Like
Yeah.
I don't understand. Like it's not like you just say, write me a book about a guy and a girl, or a girl and a girl, guy, whatever,
Yeah.
that fall in love after working together in Florida during a hurricane. And like it's not like it's gonna spit out 300 pages right there.
I have no idea.
I
Does
don't
it
think
or does it not? I don't
I
know.
just assumed it wouldn't,
I don't know. I literally don't know.
It's
But
just
it's
awful.
very like the robots, they're taking over the world, Meredith.
I know.
They're taking over the planet. And are they going to be hot though? That is the question. Maybe this is a good thing.
I don't think so.
Robots can't be hot. I
No.
heard they're going to replace Hollywood actors also. Did you hear that?
No. How?
I know. They
How are they
can take like Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt and make them hot again. Well, Angelina's always hot, but they can make Brad Pitt hot again and make it look and act as if it's the real Brad Pitt and have him do anything they want.
I don't know. We're sabotaging ourselves. The people who are like coming up with this technology, don't they realize that like they're doing it to themselves, and like before they know it, like they'll have taken over the world.
I mean, they'll do anything. Pretty soon they'll be taking over doctors. They'll just be like, oh, you plug in your symptoms. And then,
I think, they already have stuff like that.
See? What's going to happen to our sexy doctors?
Yeah, I don't know.
It's like, I just started watching Grey's Anatomy.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm into, yeah. Have you watched? There's like 20 seasons, I heard. So
no, yeah, but you might like my new book.
You just gave something away. Yeah, I know I will love your new book because I love your writing.
Thank you.
So
I can't tell you what it's about, but I can tell you that it's a different subgenre of romance. It's not contemporary.
Oh, that was another question actually I had for you is, have you ever wanted to write a different type of genre? Do you like reading more than rom-com type genres?
Well, I read a lot of thrillers.
I love thrillers. We have so much in common.
Yeah, but I don't. And I went to a thriller mystery conference last month, and I was like, maybe I'll be inspired to write a thriller. And I wasn't. I am thinking about writing a mystery, though.
Ooh.
Like not like a hard-boiled thriller, but a character-driven mystery, kind of like Elsbeth. Did you ever see that show on CBS? She's like this quirky 50-something woman.
No.
It's a spin-off of The Good Wife. She was a character on The Good Wife. And the good there was The Good Wife, and then there was another one after that.
I've heard of The Good Wife, but all I'm thinking of right now is the show Good Girls.
Okay, yeah, not that.
But that was right. Rio, was that his name? Right? He was like so sexy.
Yeah, I think so.
Like the cartel guy.
Yes. Yeah,
I wouldn't have thought so, but once you get into it, see, that's what I love about certain books, even like tropes or something, like Catherine Center's The Bodyguard.
Yeah.
When my mom first told me, like, oh, this is an amazing book, it's about a female bodyguard, I'm like, nah, it's not hot. It has to be the man. And then she's like, just read it. And then I'm like, ugh. And then I read it and I'm like, I loved it.
Yeah, I love that book.
I love books like that. And like Emily Giffen's, what is it called?
I've read them all, but
you've read all of hers. So there was one where the main character falls in love with her best friend's father. And
okay, that's the only one I did not
see
the football one.
I said, the football one. And I said to my mom, this is disgusting. It's perverted. I'm not reading it. She's like, it's so good.
I love that your mom reads the same genre.
Oh yeah, she's
That's
awesome.
great.
She's not into sex scenes though,
Okay.
so I'm disappointed. But what can you do? I mean, no one's perfect. But anyway, and so she like harassed me, and I'm like, okay, I'll read the first chapter, and then I kept reading, and it ended up being like one of my all-time favorite
What's it like,
books.
one-on-one or something like that? I mean, she's an amazing author. There was just nothing about that, about the plot that really appealed to me, the premise. And I was reading so many other books at the time, and I just
Yeah,
kind of like forgot that one. And then, so I've read everyone before that and
yeah,
everyone after that.
yeah. The one that made her famous was something
Something
borrowed
borrowed.
or something. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
she's amazing and very prolific, kind of like Sophie Kinsella.
Yeah.
And
Well,
did
what's
you
great
like
about,
Helen Fielding?
I I liked Bridget Jones the movie better than I liked the book, but I
That's
liked
so
the book too.
interesting.
Yeah, and
I
normally the book is better. I think
right.
I got sick of all the diary entries about
Ah,
how much
all
she
the weight.
smoked, how much she weighed, how much she drank. I got bored with that after all. And you didn't have that in the book,
Yeah,
you know. But
yeah,
I did like it.
yeah. But she hasn't written anything recently, has she?
Not that I know of.
She took a
Yeah,
long break because she
I
also hates publishing, just like everybody else I know.
well, Emily Giffin has got like a sweet deal. She publishes every other year instead of every year.
Oh,
Same thing with
wow.
Jennifer Weiner, I think.
Oh, okay. And
You know?
also, I know Susan Elizabeth Phillips, who I've now mentioned for like the 20th time. It totally seemed like a stalker, but I remember her saying she gets like 16-month deals or something
Yeah,
like that.
yeah.
Well, like, do you feel that when you have quick timelines, like for me, it's like 2 to 3 weeks. Do you
Oh,
do you get
I've
those?
I've been the only time I ever have like 2 to 3 week deadlines are usually for like past pages or proofs.
That's
And I
nice.
think for copyright, I've copyright for copy edits for roommating, I only got like 2 weeks. But I mean, I got months for developmental edits.
That's right.
I
I
actually had
remember you saying that.
I had more time than I needed. And in
Yeah.
fact, my book was roommated was supposed to come out last year. And they pushed it and nobody told me. And
Oh,
I told my agent, I'm like, where are my edits? If the book is supposed to come out, it's like
yeah.
October already. If this is supposed to be like a 2024 book, like what is happening?
What happened?
Well, she wrote Leah, my editor, asking like
Yeah.
what's going on. And Leah was like, oh, we slated this book for summer of 2025. So first I was upset
Hmm.
and then I was actually happy.
What
You
made you
know,
happy about it?
well, I knew that I didn't have another book coming out, so I felt like it gave me time to have something to look forward to that was already
Yes.
in contract while I kind
Yes.
of figured out what I was going to do next.
And I have to say, you got a Kirkus starred review,
I did.
and like that is not easy to come by. Like they are snobs,
Well, they
I think.
hated my last book. Yeah,
Oh, did they?
they
Okay,
liked
I
they
didn't know
like
that.
well they because I didn't share it. They, like I'm not going to
But
post that one.
usually the publisher will pick out like
Yeah.
one line that you can spin as good,
Yeah,
right?
no, yeah.
No.
They liked the scene on TV. I got a very nice review
Oh,
from them. And then they did not like Someone Just Like You. And then they loved Roommating. And I felt like vindicated.
yeah. That's the dream, I think, right there.
Yeah. I just wish it automatically meant that it was going to sell better, that like
It
Barnes and
should.
Noble was going to buy more copies of it,
Do
and
you
it did
keep
not.
track of sales?
Okay, I normally don't right away because it's too close and it's too personal and there's nothing I could do about it. But we have a portal. I have a publisher's portal that uploads.
Ooh,
And like I was checking a scene on TV and Someone's Just Like You, and now
yeah.
it's down. It's been down for like months. So I don't think
Mhm.
I'll be able to check roommating until it either gets back up or my first royalty statement, unless my
Yeah.
editor feels like telling me. But honestly, I just want to have fun with this book, and
Yeah.
like it's out of my control. I'll do the best I can. I do I talk to people, I do the podcast, I do the social media. I try to do events and signings and things like that
Yeah.
because like I get to know readers there. I get to know booksellers. They stock
Yes.
my book and they might not stock my book if I didn't have the event. So I try to
Right.
do everything that I can do, knowing that it's like this much compared to like what the publisher can do. And if the publisher doesn't pick you or push you or you don't get the
Yeah.
distribution, like they can try, sales will tell every store, like buy, stock roommated. but it's
Yeah.
not ultimately their decisions. The people in like Target or Walmart or Barnes and Noble, they're the ones
Yeah.
who make the decisions, and like it's completely out of my hands. And so I don't want it to ruin the experience for me, because it has to a degree over the years.
Yeah.
And like I should be so, people are like, you should be so proud, and I'm like, yeah, because I'm thinking it doesn't, I'm not a bestseller, like
Mm.
you know but I
Everyone
should,
calls themselves a bestseller.
I
Someone
never
once introduced me as a bestseller, and I'm like, I'll go with that.
Yeah, like I don't want somebody to like introduce me like that, because it's, I'm not. I mean I sell, you
Yeah.
know,
Like, who
but
decides what makes you a bestseller besides like the big New York Times,
yeah,
USA Today? I don't know.
yeah. I mean, I want to be like, just really like, my dream was to have my book in a bookstore, and I got
Yeah, and
that.
you have
I
that.
know,
I'm
but
in like the Midwest, these rural crazy. Everywhere I go, I see your books.
oh, that's awesome. But
Yeah.
like, the goalpost keeps moving. Once you get that, you want this, and then you want that, and then you have the publishers like pressure, like about you're not doing as well, blah 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 blah, and it kind of like takes you down. And I want to stay in the
Mm,
up. I want to stay happy, and so
yeah.
that's why I'm not going to look at reviews. I'm not
Yeah.
really concerning myself with
Good
sales
for
right
you.
now. I'm just
Yeah.
enjoying this launch, and
Yes.
and I'm working on my next book, because that's really the only thing I have control over.
Well, it's just such smart advice. And you remind me a little bit of Meghan, the Duchess of something or other,
Yeah,
Prince Harry's wife.
Sussex. Yeah.
Yeah, because I saw her on that famous podcast, and she was like a neighbor friend of hers who's also like a billionaire or something. And she was saying, I never look at anything on the internet about me because I just want to celebrate the launch of my jam.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and I thought that was like brilliant because then you just keep in mind like the important things in life. Like
Yes.
you met your goal.
Yeah.
You and this is, why would you want to bring yourself
So many
down?
people don't get, some people don't, most people don't finish a book at all. And then
Oh,
of those
yeah,
people, they don't get an agent, and those people
right.
don't get it, like so I've already, like, we've already like really surpassed what the percentages are.
Yes.
So we should be
Yeah.
really happy.
Oh,
But
so
Carrie,
happy.
I got advice once when my debut was coming out. I asked, like, how are people, like, give me some advice. How do you like deal with this? How do you remain present and stay happy? And Kerry Winfrey, who is an author I love, she wrote Waiting for Tom Hanks and Sincerely Yours, Very Sincerely Yours. She writes like really sweet like rom-coms.
I should
And
look her up. Okay.
she emailed me, like, I think she messaged me, yes, I can give you advice. And I wrote her, and one of the things she said was, don't, like, if you make a list, like any kind of list, not just a bestseller list, but a publicity list, if you're like the book bub list, or the whatever list,
Yeah.
if you make that list, somebody's going to tell you. So don't look at the list, don't open the list if they cross your
True.
feed. Assume you didn't make it, because and don't get your feelings hurt, because if you do
Yeah.
make it, somebody is going to tell you. And it's so
Yep.
true. So I don't read them now. I mean, I
Yeah.
should, because it's not seeing my book, I'll be
Yeah.
happy for other people, of course, but like, you want that for yourself.
You do, you do. That's just great advice, and it's true. Like speaking of Ellie Palmer earlier, when I think she was the one who told me Emily Henry featured some books she got, and yours is in the pile, and
Oh
there
my
was a
God.
picture of it.
That's amazing.
I know, because she's like my idol.
Yes.
So, and I probably wouldn't have known that anyway,
Hmm.
but you have to be smart enough, first of all, to know what list to look at. Like, the Four Sons of Passover, I always think of myself like one of them is like too dumb to even know what to ask. That is me as a female with high heels.
Well,
I am that son.
you don't give yourself enough credit.
I
You're very,
really don't.
very
You're right.
intelligent,
Thank you, honey. Thank you.
and
Okay, well,
beautiful and funny and kind. All the things.
yeah, well, thank you. You are so sweet. And I really look forward to meeting you at the secret location, which has not been announced yet, but I'm sure you're
Okay.
going to be there. You know what I'm talking
Yes,
about.
I do.
Wink, wink.
Okay.
Yes. So, and hopefully lots of people will join us there, but we're not allowed to talk about it yet. So please, Meredith, stop talking. All right. Well, we are running out of time, but I just want to say thank you so, so much for being here.
Thank
And
you for having me.
yes, it's been such a lovely discussion. And I'm so happy for your book, which I
Thank you.
absolutely adored. And I can't wait to see what else you come out with.
Me too. That makes two of us, and I will be waiting very, very excitedly for you for a Match Me If You Can.
That's right. Match me if you can, just like Susan Elizabeth Phillips. Coming September, if I can make my
Yay!
deadlines. Okay. Thank you, everybody, for watching.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you for listening. And if you enjoyed this episode, please share. And even if you didn't enjoy it, share anyway. Thank you for listening and come back to Someone Had to Say It.